stay there for one day. We would go by roller skates because it's too far to walk.
Wow, that's a really good story. So you can write your own stories and you can read your own stories. I think that's pretty clever, you know.
What's the complication going on today? No, you say it for me. The complication for him is that it's too hot to walk because it's too far and too hot, and the sun is too hotish, and if he had still had the hat on. But I had sunscreen. Yeah, but you still. I just wanted there to go. But fast. Here, there, was on your head, and your hair can't just protect you.
That's very clever. How do you know about complications?
Because Miss told us on our other book.
And do a lot of stories have complications?
Yep, because we got stories up there, and some stories up that big story there.
Yeah, and they've all got complications.
Yeah. So, me and Adam's I'm gonna get your book.
Good idea.
Hello, my name's Melissa Cole and I've been a teacher in accelerated literacy since 1998. And I've seen students here like Adam and Harley progress from non-readers to being able to use literate language when discussing their book as a result of their experience in accelerated literacy. I'm here to introduce you to the Accelerated Literacy Program, a program that aims to improve students' reading, writing, listening, speaking and viewing skills, which are all vital elements of a comprehensive literacy program using age-appropriate texts. Importantly, accelerated literacy benefits students of all abilities. Indigenous students have made proven dramatic progress using the program, and more literate students have also shown great results. This graph represents the students at a typical remote school in the Northern Territory, where almost all of its students are Indigenous. Before accelerated literacy was introduced at this school, 88% of students at all year levels were classified as non-readers. Further to this, national benchmark results show that an average of 70% of Indigenous kids across Australia achieve benchmark results for reading compared to the average for all students at about 90%. Compounding this, the more remotely located the school is, the lower the achievement levels of its students. It is this kind of systematic and long-term failure that accelerated literacy addresses. But away from the statistics, what does this actually mean for students who continue through their schooling, even reaching secondary school, without ever learning to read? Unsurprisingly for these students, school is a most unpleasant experience. Here we see Tani, a typical upper primary student in a remote school, before she commenced accelerated literacy in 2001.
Rabbit, hen.
Even though Tiani selected a text that she is familiar with from her classroom bookshelves, she is under severe overload as she struggles to use her existing phonics or sounding out skills to work out what the words are in a book that is obviously not suitable for someone of her age. Unfortunately, her experience is all too common amongst Indigenous students from remote communities where English is a second language.
Wisdom. Button was on its tail.
Kieran, what's the name of this book? Similarly, this is Kieran from Ludmilla Primary School in Darwin. He is in a Year 2-3 class attempting to read Yuck Soup. Can you read that name? Not sure? All right, let's turn over, have a look inside, see if you can read some of the words inside. Kieran is confused about what to do with the letters in words to make them work for him, so he makes up a story to go with the illustrations, using just the first letters of the word.
Should.
Good. All right, turn over. What is it?
I. Could.
Mm-hmm. Because he knows he is guessing, he's anxious, stressed, and just tries to finish. He reads, but doesn't learn how to read.
Shall.
For Tani and Kieran, and students like them, education is an unbearably stressful experience. Without literacy success, they will never experience the rewards that come with it, which include improved career prospects and quality of life. For these students, small literacy improvements are not enough. Differences amongst students in their first years of school may be not as obvious, but as the student approaches the end of primary school and still can't read, the difference between them and their mainstream peers is much more obvious. If you are 6 years behind your mainstream peers in literacy achievement, even 2 years improvement in 1 year will still leave you way behind. This is where accelerated literacy is so effective. Basic texts like this are suitable for beginning readers, but don't contain the complex language needed for Year 4 students to learn to read. A book that is more appropriate to Year 4 students is a book like this, which teaches students the literate language around a text. Students learn to read, spell and write at this level, and to understand books like this at school. The biggest challenge then is to teach from these more difficult books to students who can't read the very easy ones. Accelerated literacy teaching is a set of teaching strategies that supports students to read books that are much more difficult than they can read alone. It is taught for up to 90 minutes per day. The whole class is involved learning about the focused text. They learn to read accurately and fluently with appropriate intonation and with a high level of comprehension. They learn to write, using the writer's techniques used by all good writers in story writing. They learn to spell, use good grammar, and to hold the interest of the reader. They learn to discuss books and their meanings critically and to answer the questions teachers ask to stimulate discussions and text understanding. They learn all the literacy skills students need to be successful at school. Books that are used for accelerated literacy teaching with a class are referred to as working level books. Here is Tani again reading a working level text.
So by what perhaps extended family group had been forced by diminishing food resources to travel west, prolonged dry weather had gradually shrunk the springs had and water holes in their traditional area. It had become harder and harder to find and hunt the animals.
Less than a year later, accelerated literacy has taught Tani to read with remarkable comprehension, expression and fluency. Here is Kieran, also reading a text worked on in class.
The house was enclosed in darkness, and Miss Pebble was alone. She had been alone for 60 years. She had no family, and there was no one to care for her or help her. And now she was scared, but it was no good calling out. She was alone in the night. She loved
Both of these students demonstrate incredible improvements after less than 1 year's participation in accelerated literacy. The challenge for teachers is to transfer this level of reading competence to texts students have not worked on in class. Teachers do this by using the story taught in class to teach the high-level literacy skills students need to read other books appropriate for their age. By focusing on one story over a number of lessons, students can learn these literacy skills in a secure and predictable context.
She still came back again the next day. She's come back 3 times now. And does she get a wish this time?
No.
No, what does she say?
Run away.
Yeah, that's right. Well done. She's going away.
Texts not studied in class are referred to as individual level texts. Here we see Tani again after 2 years of accelerated literacy teaching, transferring the skills she has learnt on working level text to an individual level text.
The first day Lockie Leonard saw this town, it was raining. The old family falcon had been loaded down like a refugee boat as they rolled into this little place, fresh from the city. The whole family tried to be cheerful about it, but the place looked awful. The town